Vietnam became a French colony in 1887, which lasted 3 decades and became a key Cold War conflict. Vietnam was split into two sections, the North and the South. The United States, aligning with the South, feared that northern Vietnam would fall to communism, which would lead to the spread of communist influence in Southeast Asia, a belief known as the domino theory. North Vietnam was backed by the Soviet Union and China, led by Ho Chi Minh, fought against South Vietnam and the US, and ended in 1975 with a northern victory. More than 3 million people, including over 58,000 Americans, lost their lives, with civilians making up more than half of the casualties. With dense jungles, booby traps, intense war tactics, and the torturing of prisoners of war, the Vietnam War was one of the most brutal and horrific wars in history. In 1975, Communist forces seized control over South Vietnam, unifying the country as the Socialist Republic of Vietnam the following year.
The domino theory is the main cause of the Vietnam War, which suggests that communism would originate from China and then spread throughout the rest of Asia if it were not contained by, democracy in the United States. So it was significant to the Vietnam War because North Vietnam was communist and it wanted to spread communism to South Vietnam and eventually make the whole country a communist country. And the Democratic United States did not want this to happen because if it took over Vietnam, the idea of the domino theory was that it would spread throughout Asia and it could possibly eventually reach countries like India. So it would just spread communism on another front of the world, because you had communism spreading in East Europe coming from the East. So this would just be communism spreading throughout Asia. And the West did not want to allow that. So it was important to contain the communism in Vietnam.
Vietnam War lasted from 1955 to 1975. It was with the South against the North. The South were anti-communist and the North were communists. The U.S. sent military advisors before getting involved after the Gulf Tonkin incident in 1964. America sent their troops to fight against Vietnam, and the fight was very intense. This consisted of America having to fight against Vietnam's tactics in the jungle warfare against the Viet Cong. As the war went on, support by the U.S. dropped, and the U.S. dropped out of the war in 1973, which ended with the combat troops leaving in 1975, which ended with America losing the war, resulted with Vietnam becoming a communist country, and ended up becoming modern Vietnam today, after America lost the war. So some other important events that went on during the war were the Rolling Thunder campaign, where the United States bombed Vietnam, and the fall of Saigon when the North Vietnam took over the capital of South Vietnam.
Command, I spotted a Vietnamese in the street.
Hey! Oh!
Okay, so after the Vietnam War, there was also economic challenges throughout Vietnam. There was declined trust in the government, and they also experienced poverty throughout the whole nation. They also had Agent Orange exposure, which was bad for many people, and then they also had mental health challenges for veterinarians who couldn't have international aid for them. 500,000 civilians died during this war, and the country split into two sides, North and South, where the South reigned over the North.